Hello, Florida. This is Joe Mullins of the Live Workshop Play Show, and welcome. And as you can see in the background, we're in the most beautiful state in the great country. We are in CD6, which is Congress CD6, right, Randy?
That's right. At least
CD6.
unless we do redistricting, but yeah, for now.
And we're going to talk about that today. We're in CD6, which I should have known, which is our beautiful district, one of the most beautiful districts in the state of Florida. And as Congressman Fine many times says, it's the most beautiful district. Congressman Fine, thank you for all you do. Before we get started, I want to tell you, I guess it's Happy Hanukkah. Is that it?
It is. Tonight's the fourth night of Hanukkah.
Fourth night of Hanukkah. And explain a little bit. You guys are celebrating Christmas a little differently than most Americans do, but explain your holiday is going on right now, correct?
Well, sure. Well, look, so Christmas, obviously, maybe the most important holiday to Christians, either that or Easter, right? Celebrates the birth of Jesus. Hanukkah is completely unrelated. So Hanukkah celebrates something where Jews reconquered thousands of years ago the temple in Jerusalem from foreign invaders who had taken it. And by the way, remember, Christians come from Judaism. Jesus was a Jew, so could be your holiday too. And so the Maccabees reconquered the temple, and they were trying to defend the temple again from the barbarians around it, and they needed to create a light because it's dark at night, and they only had enough oil for one night. Yet somehow that oil lasted for 8 nights, and it's called, the miracle of lights. It's the holiday of lights, and that's why we celebrate. It's to celebrate a group of people who tried to exterminate the Jewish people fighting back, and that miraculous oil that should have only lasted for one night for 8 nights. So we light the menorah every night for 8 nights to celebrate it. It's just a coincidence that that Christmas and Hanukkah are around the same time, but it sort of allows Jews to participate in that holiday spirit as well.
Now, Congressman Fine, you have been working hard actually since you hit the ground running since you got in office. Do you think that we've had a lot going on with the Jewish population and Israel? Do you think President Trump knew this when he personally called for you to come in and run for this seat?
Yeah, I do. I think President Trump sees a much larger fight. So everyone likes to focus on anti-Semitism and Israel and Jews, but it's much bigger than that. We're in a war for Western civilization from those who want to destroy us. And right now, people are talking about an attack in Australia where mainstream Muslim terrorists shot and killed 15 people, and they were all Jewish. But what people aren't talking about is their friends in Europe mainstream Muslim terrorists who disrupted Christmas markets. By the way, there's no Jews going to Christmas markets in Europe. They're not talking about mainstream Muslim terrorists who just got arrested by the FBI because they were going to launch a terrorist attack in Los Angeles on New Year's Eve. I have news for you. The bombs weren't going to go off at synagogues. They were going to go off wherever people in Los Angeles were celebrating New Year's Eve. Who would have been killed in those attacks? Mostly Christians. So I think what President Trump saw, what I see, which is we're in a war of Western civilization from those who would not just wipe out Israel and the Jews, but they would wipe out the United States. They would wipe out Christianity. Their goal is to conquer that Judeo-Christian culture that makes America great. And so when President Trump asked me to run, he saw that I had been a warrior on fighting for Western civilization when I was in the legislature, and I think he wanted somebody else to come to Washington. And that's why last night I was at the White House, third time I've been there in 3 weeks. President Trump had his Hanukkah party last night, and I don't think we've posted it to social media yet, but he gave me a very nice shout out in front of everybody. He's said, he's new, but he's doing a great job, and I think the president knows how hard I'm working to preserve Western civilization in America and around the world.
Now, you've seen a lot of stuff occur this year. You've been working hard. You've been focused on things for the district, things for the state of Florida. What do you feel just happened in Miami? How do you feel about that? That we just now seen a first time in 30 years a Democratic mayor elected in a Republican
Yeah.
stronghold. What kind of wake up does this need to be for everyone?
Well, I think it is a wake up. First, I would put it in perspective. People hear Miami, they think of Dade County. That election was not a Dade County wide election. That was a Miami election. So it's not the whole county. Not a whole lot of people voted. But here's where I think the wake up needs to be. And I saw it in my own special election. Donald Trump won my district by I think 30 points. I won my special election by 14. Still a great victory, still the same size victory that Mike Waltz and Ron DeSantis won by the first time they ran, but certainly not as good as what President Trump won by just a few months earlier. Why? It isn't because Republicans voted for the Democrat. That's not what happened.
Right.
It's not what happened in Miami. What's happening is Democrats are really, really, really angry because Donald Trump has said we're not going to have illegal immigrants. Donald Trump has said you can't have men play women's sports. Donald Trump has said you can't cut the body parts off of little kids anymore because they think they're a girl when they're a boy. And the liberals are mad. They are furious. And so they are voting in these elections. Whereas our side is feeling pretty good. Things are great. Donald Trump's president. We're rolling back all these stupid policies. If I vote, if I don't vote, meh. So what's happening is their voters are turning out. Our voters are staying home. And for us to win next year, we need our side to be as fired up as their side. If we achieve that, we will win big. And people should be fired up because we're doing a great job. We're dealing with the affordability problem. We're dealing with the healthcare problem. We're putting more money into the pockets of middle-class taxpayers. And they should also look at what will come if they take over. A disaster. We'll go right back to where we were a year ago under Joe Biden. But that's what's going on. Democrat enthusiasm, Republican sort of lackadaisicalness because we're not mad anymore. A year ago, we were the mad ones. And so we've got to get mad again if we're gonna do well next year.
Well, I think your election, when you look at what happened in New York, when you look at what happened in Virginia, New Jersey, and now Miami, it really is a result, or it really is a continuation of what happened in your election. You didn't have a problem in the Republican primary. The Republican primary, you handily won,
Yeah.
no issue, no problem. When we got to the main one, Republicans just assume this district is so Republican, we don't have to worry about it. And we were close. You went. I have to give you, hats off to you. You worked hard. You fought. The last few weeks of that campaign, you fought harder than probably any of them that you had ever had. But you knew what was at stake. You knew that the country. We're so close with our votes. How detrimental would that be if Republicans stay laid back again this year?
Well, and again, I saw it in my own race. I didn't observe Trump voter. I didn't see any example of a Trump voter or a Mike Waltz voter saying, I'm not going to vote for Randy Fine. I'm going to vote for the other guy. I didn't see any examples of that. What I saw was Democratic voters saying, I will crawl over broken glass with them shooting bullets on me and dropping acid on my body in order to get to the polls. That's how mad I am at Donald Trump. Versus Republican voters who are like, everything's fine. If I vote, I vote. If I don't, I don't. It's April 1st. It's a special election. I've got a lot going on. It was intensity of feeling. And that is what we have to capture. But we should capture it. We have done extraordinarily good things to push the ball down the field this year. We've deported over 2 million illegal immigrants, which will have massive effects on our healthcare costs, our education costs, our insurance costs, our housing costs. We've created no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. These are middle class tax cuts, not tax cuts for the rich. We're unleashing American energy, and it's why we see gas prices going down. And now we're in the process of fixing healthcare, something that Democrats destroyed when they had passed Obamacare, the Unaffordable Care Act, which has not lived up to a single one of the promises that Barack Hussein Obama made when he demanded it be passed. A bill that's been passed and repassed, and never in history has a single Republican voted for it. And all it has done is made healthcare more expensive and made insurance companies rich. And so we're doing a great job. But if we lose the majority next year, Democrats will be in charge. You know what they'll do all day, every day? Impeach Donald Trump, impeach Donald Trump, impeach Donald Trump, impeach Donald Trump. Because they won't actually be able to pass anything because Donald Trump will still be president and he'll veto any of their stupid ideas. So all they're going to do is hassle him all day. We're not going to pass anything good for the American people. And that's why we've got to be working hard to make sure we understand what's at stake. The Democrats are mad. They understand what's at stake. They hate every bill that we pass. They want to stop us from doing that.
Now, Congressman Fine, last time you were on, we had the shutdown going on. Looking back, it's been about a month and a half since it's actually not maybe just a month. It's been about a month since, a little over a month since it stopped and we regained government and back open. What do you look back on? Why did that happen and what was achieved by the group that caused that?
Well, I mean, it happened because Democrats said that they were going to close the government if we wouldn't give hundreds of billions of dollars in free health care to illegal immigrants, and if we wouldn't hide the failure of Obamacare by subsidizing the Affordable Care Act, borrowing money from our kids and grandkids. What we achieved is we stopped them from doing that. They didn't get any of those things. It did cost the country a lot. I mean, it cost the country weeks and weeks of Congress not being up here passing the conservative bills that people want and moving the Trump agenda down the field. So now we have a lot of work to make up for. And I actually am pretty tired today because like yesterday was an 18-hour day for me. Started at 6 a.m., ended at midnight. But we are working hard to try to make those things all happen.
What are some of the big issues you look towards 2026 for CD6 and the rest of Florida?
Well, I think the biggest issue we're going to focus on is affordability. Look, under Joe Biden, inflation went crazy. Inflation is the rate at which prices increase, and they went through the roof. And under Donald Trump, we have basically solved the inflation problem. But that's very different than the price problem. The inflation problem means prices aren't continuing to go up. So if a price is going up 10% every month, and then the prices double. Well, if you stop inflation, all that means you've done is you've made prices stop continuing to go up. You haven't brought prices back down. We need to try to make America more affordable now by focusing on unleashing energy, by helping the president get his tariffs to final long-term trade deals that bring prices down, and by bringing healthcare costs down, which is people are spending a ton of money on, and by getting more people's tax money into their own pockets. So I think affordability is the big challenge for people all over the country next year.
Affordability's definitely been one of the top scenes. Now, we do have a lot of races coming up. We've got a lot of elections. We've got the
Yep.
governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, is going to be terming out, and people are a little nervous about that. I've had several people come on the show and just say, look, we're not worried. Florida's going to be safe. It's going to be protected. But they don't realize how close just his first term we were to having Gillum come in, a guy that we later found on crack cocaine in a hotel room with a male prostitute. It's a wake up call. So you can't underestimate these. What are some of the things that you want voters to know and listen to and plead with them to understand this coming up in this next election? The important facts.
Yeah, well, look, what I want them to know, I think most importantly, is that not every election will be a slam dunk. I think I will win handily. I think our governor's candidate, who I hope is Byron Donalds, I think he'll win handily. I think Ashley Moody will win handily. But there will be swing areas around the state. There are 8 congressmen in Florida that are Democrats, and I think a couple of them are seats that we could win. I think there will be state and local and state legislative races, county commission races. There will be races that are close. And so what I need people to look at is the success of the Republican governing model. And I need our side to get out and vote, whether it's for Byron or Ashley or me or everybody down the road. We've just got to get people to get out and vote. That's going to be my focus next year.
Now, you've been all over the county. You've been working hard, especially during the shutdown. You were here. It seemed like every time I'd turn the corner, I'd see you going in somewhere working.
Yeah.
You've been very in tune with the community. What is your goal for the region? You've got so many diverse counties that are tied up into this area. And you mentioned redistricting. Is there a chance this county can change? Is there a chance that we can wake up and see someone different? And how would you work with them to pass that on?
Well, just to talk about redistricting, there's always a chance. There's a desire by some to redistrict. There's many questions to be answered. The first question is, do they redistrict? But if they do redistrict, do they redistrict in a way that affects my congressional district? The answer is it could. It could not. They may only redistrict certain parts of the state. But this district is one that had a lot of changes the last time around. Mike Waltz only represented 4 counties. I represent 6. He used to represent all of Volusia County. I only represent half. He didn't represent Marion or Putnam. I represent all of Putnam and a good chunk of Marion. So who knows? But whatever it is, we'll be out there working for everybody. And look, I think I'm very focused on the needs of my district, but I'm also focused on the needs of everyday Americans and everyday Floridians, no matter where they are. And so I'm not going to worry about it. I had to get to know the 850,000 people of the 6th Congressional District when President Trump asked me to run a year ago. I'll get to know anybody that I need to moving forward.
Now, President Trump has been focused on national affairs. He's been focused on uh, trying to get Russia and Ukraine war to stop. How do you feel his focus will shift? Will he continue, and this is something that he'll rely on Congress and the vice president to focus internally? Or do you think he will be able to? I think some very strong points have been proven with the trade war that is going on and the tariffs. But at this point, I think it's a lot of people say that the focus needs to come back to America and to the country. What are your comments on that?
Well, I think it's true. I mean, look, there's foreign affairs and then there's domestic affairs. And I think to some degree, foreign affairs do affect domestic affairs. I mean, I'll give you a great example. Iran, for example, wanted to build nuclear missiles that could hit America. That's something that we should care about. I understand why people may be asked the question of why does, 2 countries in Africa fighting each other affect me? But I think President Trump understands that American leadership is needed in the world. But now, as we turn to the election, I think we need to be focused on all of the things we've done great domestically: unleashing energy production, bringing down healthcare costs, cutting taxes, reducing regulation, deporting illegal immigrants. We need to be talking about, and that's why I think the president's doing his address to the nation. He's starting to do rallies again, and I think we need to deliver the message to the Trump base that why they need to care and why they need to get out and vote next year. And if we do that, we're going to be fine.
Congressman Fine, I want to thank you for joining us, and it's always great to have you on. I know we've got a lot of things coming up and a lot of things happening. What are your accomplishments that you feel have been strongest the last since you've been in office?
Well, I mean, look, I came in 8 months ago with no ramp up. Most people get 2 months to figure out the job after they get elected. I did not get that. So I'm very proud of the fact that we've sort of built a functioning congressional office very quickly. We have 6 district offices. I have a great district staff. They meet with people every day. We solve hundreds of constituent cases every month. And I would tell your listeners, if they live in those 6 counties and they need something, go to fine.house.gov to find the office nearest to you and call in and see what we can do to help. I'm very proud of the $20 million we've brought back to the district, which was I would have thought impossible for a guy who shows up in the middle of session to do, but to bring projects that relate to beach renourishment and infrastructure and things like that. And I'm very proud of the work that I've done to be the tie-breaking vote for that middle class tax cut that made no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. And I think that when my voters fill out their tax return next year, they're going to be astonished at how much lower it's going to be.
Congressman Fine, we've seen a lot of change in the Democratic Party. You mentioned it. They're fired up. They're searching for a leader. Gavin Newsom, when the mayor race happened in Miami, tweeted out that he was excited that Miami and Florida would be. He predicted them to swing Democrat in 2028. Um, that's a big tale to say, but it does give them hope. It does make them think that it's a possibility when they see things like that. You described it. It's lethargic Republicans just not taking it serious. Who is the person? Who do you think that we need to watch out and look out for? That's going to be the most dangerous Democrat coming up. We've seen Pelosi retire. We've seen many of them come and go. New York just got a very unique new one coming in, threatening he was going to arrest a world leader if he came into the state of New York or the city. Who do we need to watch?
Well, I think Mamdani is the most dangerous Democrat in America. So I serve with a lot of dangerous Democrats in Congress, but we don't actually run anything. Our job is to pass bills. We don't have executive authority. So I look at someone from Mamdani who's basically already announced he's going to effectively engage in civil war. He's announced that he might arrest ICE agents. He's announced that he will arrest foreign leaders that he does not like. I mean, that is a call to insurrection and civil war. And so I think that as he allows New York to be conquered, I think he is by far the most dangerous. And I think it will become very clear very quickly what a horrible decision New Yorkers made.
How did that happen with so much of a Jewish population up there? That's what we've all wondered.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, it's a great question. I mean, but Jews aren't a majority of New Yorkers. What happened is this: it is a failure of our immigration policy. We have allowed people into this country who become citizens who hate America. They hate it. Look at Elon Omar. They hate America. People who were born in New York, whether they were Republican, Democrat, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, they overwhelmingly voted against Mamdani. It's the people who just got off the boat who voted for Mamdani. And when the people who immigrate don't share the values of the people who are already here, whether they're liberal or conservative, that's invasion by another means. And so I think that is what's happened. America's been invaded, and now we're going to pay the price for it. But it's very, very scary, and it's a problem that we have around the country. We've allowed tens of millions of legal and illegal immigrants to come here. It's been too many, and they don't share the values that made America great. And it's a real problem. It's something we got to deal with.
Congressman Fine, 2026, right around the corner. What can our listeners and people do to support you, support the state of Florida, and make sure we continue the great movement we've seen over the last decade?
Sure. Well, I'm in my office, so I'm limited about the number of things I can say that would help me in 2026. But what I can say is I think knowing what I'm up to and what I'm doing will help people. There's ways to do that. You can go to find.house.gov, sign up for our newsletter. You can follow me on social media. I'm on all the platforms at @repfine, just to know what I'm doing. I think making sure that you vote, talking to your neighbors, so they understand what is ahead of us, making them understand what's at stake in next year's elections. Are we going to continue to implement the Trump agenda, or are we going to move into an impeach Trump all the time agenda? Because that's what will happen if the Democrats win. And so I would say people can stay in touch with me and look for me when I'm out and about in the district. It's been hard to do the last few weeks because, frankly, we've been in Washington. I mean, this is a job where you're in D.C. most of the time, and so I also encourage people come visit me up here. It's a fun place. It's not a fun place to live, I can tell you that, having spent a lot of time here the last 8 months, but it is an interesting place to come and visit.
Congressman Fine, I want to thank you for joining us today, and thank you for always fighting for this great district, this great state, and this great country, and bringing us together. Thank you for everything you do, and wish you continued success.
Thank you. And I'm happy to do it anytime. I appreciate you being a voice that gets out to people to let them know about all the great work that we're doing, and look forward to doing this again soon.
Thank you. And remember, listeners, this is the most important election coming up. We've got to make sure we have our voices heard. Do not take this for granted. Let's make sure we keep Florida the greatest place to live, work, shop, and play, especially CD6, the greatest district. Thank you, Congressman Fine. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.